Okay, welcome. In this video, we're going to be talking about electrical stimulation of the auricular branch of your vagus nerve and how to identify the location to stimulate, what it is, where it's located in your ear, the auricular branch of the vagus nerve, as well as the right equipment to purchase and the settings and the general things you need to know before you go ahead and start stimulating in this way. Now, first thing I got to say is medical disclaimer. This is not a recommendation to do this. If you do choose to implement this system or tools or whatever, you must check with your own primary care provider or doctor, okay? Clear? So this is a overview of the right settings that should help you reduce your harm, because a lot of people are recommending this stuff online, and I just wanted to throw some of the some of the right methodology in here so people can reduce their harm. That's why we're doing this. So let's look at the ear. All right. So couple of reference pictures here that can help you identify kind of like what this looks like, what we're trying to accomplish in essence with ear stimulation. If you don't know what the vagus nerve is or what it does, this probably isn't the right video to be watching. There are other videos that we've done on what the vagus nerve is and other videos on what is vagus nerve stimulation at all. This is very much a more narrow band of what's possible for a way to stimulate the vagus nerve. And we're not going to really talk about what symptoms it treats or anything like that. This is not that video. This is just for someone who's like, yep, I know what the vagus nerve is. I know what kind of symptoms this should treat. And so you're making that decision on your own under the care and supervision of a professional, okay? Of a licensed physician professional, okay? So there are some reference shots here as well. If you look in the upper right-hand corner of this video, you're going to see a picture of an ear that's like a cartoon with orange, blue, and purple. And in the middle, you're going to see purple, and that represents the Simba concha of the ear. That's about right here in the ear. If you see where I'm kind of putting my finger right here in this area, not up here, not down here, but inside. And that's where the auricular branch of the vagus nerve innervates and goes to. And you can see another couple of pictures that give you that information. The auricular branch of the vagus nerve is a very small branch of the vagus nerve. It's not the main part of the vagus nerve. So stimulation here is done simply because it's relatively easy to do with electricity. And electrical stimulation is pretty accessible for most people to go get a device. So that's why it's used. Is it the most effective thing in the world? By far it is not. But it's something that's pretty easy to get to. And it has some limitations, but we'll talk about that here in a moment. But yeah, that's a good reference shot to use. Now, let's look at more information about kind of like tool selection and other things that you need to know. So here's something that's really important. You're going to see these terms thrown around a lot on the internet. You're going to see the term TENS unit, T-E-N-S, or microcurrent thrown around. Microcurrent is probably more of my contribution to this field, which is that a lot of people in identifying or using a device in the past, over the last, I'd say 8 years, have been forced to, just because of availability, have had to choose a TENS unit because that's the only thing that was available. So when you hear people recommending a TENS unit for ear stimulation, for auricular vagus nerve stimulation, it's likely because they're using kind of an outdated tool. That's nothing wrong with that, but TENS units were not designed for stimulating the ear. That's just a fact. TENS units were designed to stimulate large muscles in your body. So it's kind of like TENS unit for vagus nerve stimulation of the ear is like bringing a cannon to kill a mosquito. It's just very overpowered. But you can make it work if you're if you're just going to like 1% of the output of a TENS unit. That means that there can be risks, which is if you go to 5% or 50% or 100% output of what a TENS unit is capable of, you can absolutely hurt your vagus nerve. Just like, if you run a severe amount of electrical current through your ear, it can hurt. Facts. So The safer thing to do is to get a microcurrent stimulator. And in the next slide, we're going to show what that microcurrent stimulator looks like. And you'll be able to go and select one of those for yourself. So that's the main difference, is why if you see people still referring to a TENS unit, just know that it comes with some big risks. And I'm not a stranger to seeing those risks reported often in forums on this topic. So some of the reasons people will give for still going with a TENS unit is that they can sometimes have more settings made available in their software, which means if you're going for like just the dirt cheap option, like something that's just like $20, then a TENS unit is going to have a lot of settings available, which can be helpful. But even then, clinical research is still unclear on the exact settings for auricular stimulation to become effective. There are some guidelines that have been found that are helpful, and so we're going to share those here in the next page. But a microcurrent device that we're going to recommend, or not recommend, but show, is going to cover you for the safe bounds of this type of stimulation. So this is the device. This is the device that offers the right amount of clinically valid or clinically validated settings, and it's called an intensity micro combo. Very easy device to find. If you just search online for intensity micro combo, you're going to find that online. So the settings that are most commonly recommended is going to be a pulse width of 200 microseconds, a pulse rate of 20 hertz to 30 hertz, a time use of starting at about 1 minute, and then slowly over time moving from 2 to 45 minutes per session. You can do 2, 3, or 4 sessions per day. Some people may need about 2 to 3 hours per day. There's a special type of ear clip that can be used as well, and those will typically be recommended during the checkout process when you purchase an intensity micro combo, because the micro combo device was intended to be utilized for vagus nerve auricular branch stimulation. So, and access to the specific ear clips is dependent upon your region. So if you're in Canada, you'll have access to a certain type, and so that's up to you what you have available. In terms of the intensity, meaning the electrical current, the amps, the output of the device, you want to basically just increase the stimulation intensity until you can feel stimulation, a buzzing sensation or electrical tingling in your ear where the stimulation is being applied. And then once you feel that, you want to you're already at too much stimulation, so you want to drop the intensity back down. You want to drop it down to an intensity level that you can no longer feel. Okay? Now, even if you can't feel it, it's still going through your ear. You want to be below the threshold of sensitivity of the ear, and that's primarily because if you're feeling that tingling, you may be stimulating the sympathetic branch of the vagus of the ear and triggering kind of a fight or flight response, and so that will have the opposite effect. So yeah, be careful. So you want to increase intensity until you feel it, and then drop back down to a number that's below the amount of stimulation that you can feel. Okay? Then here are some other things to know in general to have a better time with this. So when it comes to vagus nerve stimulation through the auricular branch with electrical stimulation ear clips in this manner, it can take time. This is not a quick process. Because this is such a small branch, it's so sensitive to stimulation, you have to go well below the threshold of what it takes to activate the vagus nerve. Because the ear is so densely packed with sympathetic and parasympathetic fibers, you're not getting a full possible dose of stimulation. So just know that you're in it for the long haul if you choose to go with an ear clip stimulation system. Okay? And it can take time. Now, another thing to be aware of is that vagus nerve stimulation, especially frequency selected, like what we're doing with 20 to 30 hertz, can reclock your brain. And that means it's going to change your perception of time. It can dilate time, and that can change your perception of how long you've been doing it. So we'll talk about this, but you need to be keeping good notes of this. And before you start, you need to set a time window that is large enough to be able to see the effects happening. And that means you need to select something like 30, like 3 months, basically. Something over 30 days is minimum 30 days. You can't use it for anything less than that. But generally what we've seen is it's going to take 3 months to 6 months of daily usage, 5 to 7 days per week at that 20 to 45 minute window per day to be able to see some lasting long-term effects from this, okay? And some people who are more sensitive may require about 6 to 12 months. And so just be prepared. This is a long haul process. Now, another thing that can help you with the success of this methodology, of this journey, is to track your results. Keep a journal, just like you would keep a food journal. If you have a food sensitivity, it's important to keep a journal of all the things that you're doing to stimulate your vagus nerve so you don't get things mixed up. At the simplest level, what you can do is buy a simple pocket journal that has the days in boxes of the month, and just use a black highlighter and fill in the days where you stimulated. So you can just kind of finger through the pages of the months and see which days did I do stimulation versus which days did I miss. And that can give you a good sense of how much you've been doing it and all that kind of stuff. Now, when in doubt, just simplify your routine. And the things that seem to work the best is just finding a routine that can be the same every single day. Just get in the habit of finding something that works for you. And this is a system you should use across all forms of your health. Find foods that work, find sleep routines that work, stimulate your vagus nerve at the same time every single day with the same settings. Don't change things too much. With vagus nerve stimulation, you probably do want to jump between like 20 hertz and 30 hertz occasionally every few weeks, just so you don't like acclimate to the one form of stimulation. But again, really plan on 3 to 6 months of usage for a TENS device to show effectiveness. So that's those are all the important, relevant things to know for getting this to work. Now, but yeah, that's kind of the summary of the main important areas that you need to cover as far as selecting electrical stimulation for the auricular branch of the vagus nerve. Now, just as a quick, again, disclaimer, use professional oversight of anything that you do for your vagus nerve. If you don't choose to use help, then if you have issues, then you are kind of on your own. Or you need to hire a specialist for this. I really recommend that you go ahead and get the professional help of someone who knows what they're doing. Otherwise, for those of you who are going to do this on your own, best of luck. This is not a recommendation to do it. So we are giving this as a way to reduce harm for people out there on the internet who are going to do this either way. And this is really to help those people who are probably going to make the wrong selection. And I assure you, you can make the wrong selection when it comes to electrical stimulation of your ear. Fact. It happens time and time again. This is a video that should help people kind of orient around the right thing to do. If you do choose to go this route, this is information that we've seen is especially helpful. So yeah, other than that, this has been Sterling Cooley, founder of the Vagus Nerve Stimulation Repair Program. If you want to learn more, please head over to our Facebook group and join up for more daily information about the vagus nerve and different ways to stimulate it. So happy stimulating. I hope to see you soon in the near future, and have a great rest of your day. Take care. Bye-bye.